Hello to all of my bendy people in the audience, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about some twists that Drag Race should implement that would be fun for Drag Race to potentially do in the future. These are some twists I've ideated recently that I thought would be interesting to see. And I think, it would be interesting to see Drag Race do in the future. Some of these are variations of previous twists you've already had that are essentially just like tweaked to, I think, make them better or more enticing. But I think, these are just some fun twists that I think should be considered for Drag Race. I think would be fun. I apologize for accidentally lying to you all and saying that my next video is going to be how would I judge video. It obviously is not. I just had a very busy week this past week with work and my city's pride, which I'm gonna post some pictures and some videos from that soon as well, because that was super fun. But we're having this video first instead because I had the kind of outline for it and it was easier to make. So we're doing it now. Before we go any further, please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy yourself. I greatly appreciate all the subscribers. We just passed 1,500 subscribers about like 4 or 5 days ago as of me filming this video. So thank you all so much for that support. I really do deeply appreciate it. We have 5 twists that we'll be talking about in this video. In no particular order, the first twist we're going to be talking about is... I think Drag Race should do a split premiere that ends up in one elimination. So we obviously have had split premieres on Drag Race for a long time, since season 6 of Drag Race, and many seasons of Drag Race have done some form of a split premiere. But the way that split premieres tend to work is that, usually the way they tend to work is that the cast will be split in 2. They will do some sort of challenge. The top competitors of each episode will win. Nobody will go home, and then they'll just move on. A couple of times, as on like Drag Race Philippines and Drag Race season 6, the split premieres had winners and people in the bottom 2 that ended up being eliminated from the competition fully. I think they should do a split premiere with one elimination. And the way that I imagine this working out in my head is that you have a cast of however many people, and you do the split premieres like they did in Drag Race Philippines season 2 and in Drag Race season 6, where there's winners and then a bottom 2 that lip syncs and one of them is eliminated. But at the beginning of episode 3, the 2 who had been eliminated from their premieres would get to lip sync for a chance to re-enter the competition, and whoever does better gets to re-enter and it acts like nothing happened. And then the person who lost both gets to be eliminated. I like this idea because it still allows for we've seen all these split premieres with no eliminations before, and it's kind of like, I'm never expecting an elimination on a split premiere anymore, It's kind of just like, okay, we're just getting to know them, which is a good thing, absolutely. But I think it'd be nice to switch the formula up. And by doing it this way, you only eliminate one person, so you have, essentially a non-elimination episode baked in there, depending on how long the season run is. And those 2 who were eliminated in the first episodes, theoretically one is going to come back and stay for longer and get to show more. And even the person who is officially eliminated first, they at least get to show another outfit, and do another lip sync and stuff. They get a 3rd episode. They're billed for another episode. That's not exactly how it works with reality television stuff, but you know what I mean. They're getting paid more, and I like that. I appreciate that. And so I think that would be an interesting kind of twist to throw in the mix that people wouldn't necessarily expect, but that's still within the realm of possibility for Drag Race to do. I could see them doing this. This isn't a twist that I think is out of the realm of possibility to happen. and I would like to I would really, really like to see it. I think it'd be very enticing, and I think people would enjoy it. The next twist we're going to be talking about is the safe queens vote for the bottom two, a la the Golden Beaver, but flip it on its head. See what I did there? Um, and in this concept of season, ideally an all-star season, I would say, um, the winners do not have to fucking choose shit. The contestants who are safe have to choose who is going to be in the bottom two out of the bottom three. I think this would be an interesting shakeup of the kind of format we've already established, because we have very varied different all stars formats. You got the lip sync for the win format with the top two choose who gets eliminated. You got the lip sync assassin format where everybody votes and all that shenanigans happens. You got the golden beaver format where the winner has to choose who to save out of the bottom three. There's a lot of different formats, but I think, Drag Race, while there's obviously strategy to it, for sure, that isn't like the main point. The main point is that it's a competition about your art and about how you display like your drag. And it's not like, it is in a sense, but it's not like Survivor or Big Brother or the Traitors. It's not that where you're using your strategy in order to and your social abilities in order to progress you forward. In Drag Race, you could be the most evil fucking person in the world, but you could be the best drag queen ever and just fucking blaze through the competition and win it. Like, you don't your social abilities and your strategic abilities are never going to fully dictate whether you stay or go. And so I think, and so for that reason, a lot of people, in who are on Drag Race don't necessarily want to play super strategically on these All-Star seasons, which is entirely fair. Partially just due to like fan backlash, which is never fun. But also like, if it's just a competition that's based off of how well you present your art, it might not necessarily behoove you to eliminate somebody who's like potentially bigger competition. Like if you're all competition and it's kind of it's an art thing that's judged subjectively. Like for example, like Lemon on Canada versus the World. While I wish like she had made some bigger decisions and was like, yeah, I'm gonna save Lakahenna week one, and put Eureka and Alexis against each other. Like, while I wish that would have happened, that would have been such a gaggy moment. I completely understand why she didn't do it. Like all it does is kind of make enemies for yourself. And kind of puts like a target on you for people to not save you in the future. Like, there's not really a big advantage to having the ability to choose. I guess you get to choose who to eliminate, but this isn't a strategy game as much as it is like a display of art and kind of like a social game. And so I think it might potentially make more sense if you have the safe contestants vote for who should be the bottom two, because then you're essentially saying you're making it so that those who are safe now have to get blood on their hands and pick a side in terms of who they want to save. And the winner of the week gets to just sit back and fucking chill and not have to deal with any of that. They don't have to get any blood on their hands. And so I think it'd be interesting to format it in this way to kind of put the winner on a pedestal and make it so that those who are safe have to make some sort of enemy. Because like as we saw in Canada versus the World, like Lemon wasn't trying to make enemies because like socially that's just not a good thing to do. So she went with like the most logical routes of like who did the best in that week for the first week and who had done the best in the competition on their final one, which like I completely get. So I want them to flip it on its head and kind of reverse the roles of who gets to vote. And let's see what happens. Could it flop? Absolutely. I'm not going to say that it's a foolproof thing, but I would be interested to see it. Next up, what if Drag Race used an actual scoring system? I think it'd be very interesting if Drag Race decided to go down this route. Other reality competition shows do this, like La Mastraga and Call Me Mother. They both have scoring systems that determine the winners and the bottoms and everything in between. And I think it'd be very interesting if Drag Race decided to go down that route at some point. How would that scoring system be determined? I don't know. But I'm honestly just kind of annoyed of like obviously art is subjective. And so, you're going to perceive, art differently depending on the contents of it and everything and yada yada yada. We all know art's subjective. And so to kind of force a scoring system onto a subjective thing is kind of odd, just as like a concept for kind of anything, including drag. But there's so much discourse surrounding like, oh, blah blah blah, did the best in this challenge. No, but they had a terrible runway. This person had a great runway. Oh, but they did the best in the challenge. Like, there's so much discourse like that. And I just like, I don't care. Like, I don't like it. I don't like the discourse. And so, like, if they were to use an actual scoring system, I feel like it would become, ideally, in an ideal world, again, this could totally flop. In an ideal world, it would become a show that is more about the art specifically, and like comparing the art and saying like, wow, this is amazing. And it would be made less subjective, and the drama would change and kind of move away from the like riggery drama and lean more into like scoring based drama. Obviously there could still be riggery with a scoring system because you can just give somebody better scores than somebody else. But I think it would stop a lot of unneeded discourse that isn't very effective. And also just like make it a more like entertaining thing to like watch and like play along with. And obviously there's also a lot of discourse of like, why are you saying what you would have done when you can't even do it, like in reference to like drag, which like obviously like true. Like why would you say that? But hopefully it would bring about more things like kind of like what I do with my content of like the how would I judge stuff. Hopefully it would bring about more like discourse, hopefully in a positive way, surrounding the performances and everything. I think this is one potentially where I'm being like more idealistic about things, but oh well. I just think it'd be interesting if they tried it. Next up, we have one that's kind of been done before, but I think we could tweak this and make it slightly better. I would like to bring back the jury vote in some form or fashion that we saw on All Stars 3. Now, obviously, on All Stars 3, the way that this worked was that the eliminated contestants got to choose 2 members of the final 4 that they wished to move on to the final 2, which I don't think is necessarily a bad twist at all. Like, this is a social game. Like, they knew that coming in. Again, it's a social game more than a strategic game. They have to have been making good social relationships the whole time. Like, it kind of I don't think it's necessarily like unfair that they chose to do this. What I do think is kind of unfair is the fact that this was a secret that was kept from the contestants that were actually in the season until the 4 people were locked, until the jury was gonna have to vote on those 4 people. The fact that they waited and kept it so long as like a secret is so annoying to me. That feels unfair to me in a way. It very much gives me, if you haven't seen Survivor, you're not going to care about my rant for the next minute, but I'm sorry, but this is a good analogy for those who have seen Survivor. Is on Survivor 35, Heroes, Healers, and Hustlers. They introduced the Final 4 Fire Making Challenge, where the winner of the Final Immunity Challenge would save one of the other 3 contestants, from having to compete in the fire making challenge, and the other two would have to compete in that challenge, and the loser would be eliminated. The winner would move on to the final three. Which, like, I don't think it's necessarily a bad twist in itself. Like, but do I wish that we had the final four votes instead? Yes. Do I think final four fire making is inherently a bad thing? Not really. But the fact that they didn't tell them until they were already at the final four is bonkers to me, because that is something that changes the whole of the strategy of the season. Because now, somebody who you thought you could take out at 4, well, bitch, you're gonna have to try and take them out at 5 then, because there's no fucking, like, you don't have any certainty as to who exactly is gonna stay or go at 4. And so springing that on them at the final moment really just felt so fucking dirty. As like a production move to say, oh, you thought you were making the exact best moves that were good for your game. Well, psych, you actually weren't. Sorry. Like, that's horrid. And that's what gives me that here. Like, you know, obviously people would act differently if they knew that a jury was going to vote for them. And so I think a jury vote would be fascinating to see again, either for the finalists or for the winner of the season potentially. I would see this as like an all-stars situation. That's really the only scenario where I think it like makes sense. And I think they need to let the competitors know this from the very, very beginning, that this is going to be happening. And I think they, you know, have to have the kind of finality and everything built around this scenario if it were to happen. Also, I think the vote would need to happen before, like, it couldn't happen at like a live finale, the voting happened. I don't think so. I think it needs to happen on location, and then they need to read the votes for the winner, like, live at the finale, and just, you know, have the finalists do, like, you know, a number and, you know, other things to fill out the finale time. I think it'd be interesting if they kind of did it in that kind of like Survivor, Big Brother, or, well, I guess not Big Brother, because they do that live at the finale, but kind of like that old school Survivor kind of fashion. It kind of doesn't necessarily fit with the structure of like, of, you know, it kind of being a, you know, a competition about your art, specifically, but I do think it'd be interesting to see again if they just really committed to it and made it the focal point of the season as a whole. Okay, now this last one is a bit of a pipe dream, but make them live together and film it and put it out in some capacity. It could be in the episodes themselves, where we get context to drama that's happening based off of, you know, shit that happened, like, together when they were, you know, chilling, eating breakfast together. Like, it could be in that scenario. It could be like an after show a la Untucked. Like, I think there are many avenues in which this could go. And it would change the show proper regardless if it's like, you know, in the episodes or not, because, you know, the drama is more potent. They're spending more time together. They're building deeper relationships, and they're also building deeper rivalries potentially. I got a picture of Drag Race España up here because for Drag Race España, the cast live together. They all live in the same house together. That's at least is the case for seasons 1, 2, and I believe 3. It might, I don't know if it is for 4 or was for All Stars, but I'm 99.9% sure that was the case for seasons 1 through 3. And so I think it'd be very interesting if they committed to that and put it out there in some form or fashion and use that on the show. Because like a lot of reality shows have that, you know, aspect to them, regardless of what they're about, whether they're a social strategy game or like a competition about like your art and stuff that you create. Like, you know, there are shows all across the board of reality competition that have the contestants live together in some space. And so I think it'd be very interesting if they attempted to do that and see what happens with it. I think it'd be really cool. And I mean, it's not like they don't like, you know, it's not like they don't have the money to do it. Like, girl, get a good Airbnb. Drag Race has enough money to just rent a house for like a month to fucking let these contestants stay at. You know, they have that ability to do so. I say why not? I just think it'd be very interesting. And I mean, I'm also on in my Big Brother brain right now because Big Brother is popping off this season. Oh my god, it's so good. So I'm Big Brother brain right now. But regardless, I still think this is something they should at least try. Again, I'm not gonna say that any of these are foolproof things that would absolutely work and be great. But I think these are things that Drag Race should try. These are twists that they should experiment with to see, is this worth it? Is this something we want to keep doing? Because I think these are all twists that could be good for Drag Race, but that aren't just complete and utter shots into the dark of things that will never, ever, ever, ever happen. Well, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, I will leave my Twitter handle linked down below if you want to go follow me on there. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, take care. Bye-bye.